Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. George Peppard really hated him more than anyone. George Peppard was born on October 1st, 1928 in Detroit, Michigan. Peppard grew up in a working-class family where Hare learned about being determined, tough, and standing on his own 2 feet. His dad, George Peppard Sr., was a building contractor, and his mum, Vernelle Rohrer, used to sing in operas, which meant the young Peppard got to see performing arts from an early age. When George was little, he showed he was both really smart and very creative. He later went to Purdue University and Carnegie Institute of Technology, which is now called Carnegie Mellon University, where he studied drama and started to practice the skills that would help him have a successful career in entertainment. Peppard's early career began on stage, where his hard work and natural charm quickly got the attention of critics and audiences. His big break came in the late 1950s when he started making movies, bringing with him a fresh excitement that made him stand out from the other leading men of his time. One of his first well-known roles was in Home from the Hill in 1960, where he impressed Hollywood with how intense and emotional he could be. Over the next few years, Peppard built anime for himself as someone who could play all kinds of roles, from romantic heroes to tough, bitter characters. His role opposite Audrey Hepburn in the classic Breakfast at Tiffany's in 1961 made sure he'd always be remembered in movie history, with his performance as struggling writer Paul Varjak becoming known of his most famous roles. As his career grew through the 1960s, Peppard starred in lots of different films, including war movies like The Blue Max in 1966, where he played a daring German fighter pilot during World War I. This role showed his ability to bring depth and make you care about characters who might otherwise seem unsympathetic. Peppard also appeared in thrillers, romantic dramas, and westerns, showing he was really good at working in different types of movies. His good looks, powerful presence, and disciplined acting style made him a leading man who could carry a film with both charisma and believability. Even though he had success in movies, the 1970s turned out to be a tougher time in his career. He got offered fewer roles, and Hollywood was changing toward a new group of actors and directors. Still, Peppard kept going, taking on TV projects and continuing to work steadily. His most famous role of this later time came in the 1980s, when he starred as Colonel John Hannibal Smith, the cigar-smoking disguise-wearing leader of a team of soldiers for hire in the hit TV show The A-Team from 1983 to 1987. This show made him popular again, especially with younger audiences, and made him a cultural icon. His famous line, "I love it when a plan comes together," became one of TV's most recognizable catchphrases. George Peppard's personal life was as exciting and dramatic as some of the roles he played on screen. During his lifetime, he was married 5 times, with each marriage being a different chapter in his life as both a man and an actor. His first marriage was to Helen Davies, whom he married in 1954 during the early years of his acting career, when he was still trying to make it in Hollywood. The couple spent a decade together, dealing with both the struggles and wins that came with Peppard's growing fame. Even though they had a strong bond, their marriage ended in divorce in 1964, shortly before Peppard became really famous with his breakout role in Breakfast at Tiffany's in 1961 and later successes. Not long after, Peppard married actress Elizabeth Ashley in 1966. Ashley was a highly respected stage and screen actress, and their marriage got a lot of attention from the media since both were well-known people in the entertainment world. The marriage, though, was rocky, fueled by Peppard's intense personality and Ashley's equally strong character. Together, they had a son, Christian Peppard, who would later follow in his father's footsteps by becoming an actor and writer. Even though they had a deep connection, the couple divorced in 1972 after 6 years together, but their son remained an important part of both their lives. In 1975, Peppard got into his third marriage with Sherry Boucher, an actress who had appeared in films like Walking Tall. The marriage happened at a time when Peppard was still a big name in Hollywood, though his career was starting to change as he moved from leading man roles to more mature characters. Their marriage lasted only 4 years, and by 1979 they split up, adding another chapter of both passion and disappointment to Peppard's personal story. His fourth marriage was to Alexis Adams in 1984, another actress with whom he shared a brief but noteworthy relationship. This marriage turned out to be short-lived as well, ending in divorce in 1986 after only 2 years. Like his earlier marriages, it showed the challenges Peppard faced in keeping lasting relationships, a struggle probably made worse by his career demands, strong-willed nature, and personal battles, including his well-known struggle with alcoholism, which he eventually beat in later years. Even though his marriages brought him both love and heartbreak, Peppard's greatest joy was being a father. He had 3 children, Bradford and Julie from his first marriage to Helen Davies, and his son Christian from his marriage to Elizabeth Ashley. Despite the ups and downs in his personal relationships, Peppard was devoted to his children, who remained the center of his life even as his marriages came and went. In his later years, he often said that his role as a father was one of his proudest achievements, giving him a sense of legacy and continuation that his romantic relationships couldn't always provide. When talking about George Peppard's career and his reputation in Hollywood, one of the most notorious conflicts that often comes up is his deep hatred toward fellow actor Buddy Ebsen. While Peppard had a reputation for being outspoken and difficult on set, he rarely let his feelings about his co-workers become public knowledge. But when it came to Buddy Ebsen, there was no mistaking the contempt he felt. Peppard himself did not hold back, and in interviews and private conversations, he was blunt. "I never liked that man. Not one bit. Buddy Ebsen was someone I truly hated more than anyone else I ever worked with." Their reasons for this dislike can be traced back to their time in the entertainment industry during the peak of their respective TV careers. Buddy Ebsen was of course loved by many for his role as Jed Clampett on the Beverly Hillbillies, which ran throughout the 1960s and turned him into a household name. George Peppard, on the other hand, rose to fame in a more serious area of acting, becoming known for his handsome leading man looks and dramatic performances in films like Breakfast at Tiffany's in 1961, and later for his starring role as Colonel John Hannibal Smith on the wildly popular 1980s TV series The A-Team. Their careers overlapped at a time when TV stardom was booming, but Peppard often looked down on certain types of comedy-driven or folksy TV that Ebsen represented. This difference in artistic philosophy was one of the earliest sparks of dislike. Peppard openly admitted, "I couldn't stand his style, that fake hillbilly charm he played up. To me, it wasn't acting, it was pandering." Another point of conflict came from their personalities. George Peppard was known for being fiercely proud, sometimes arrogant, and totally uncompromising in his professional life. He often clashed with producers, directors, and co-stars when he felt the work was beneath him, or when he thought they weren't professional enough. Buddy Ebsen, meanwhile, was easygoing on the surface, but also a strong-willed actor who could be condescending toward people he didn't respect. When these two personalities collided in Hollywood social circles and at industry events, friction was inevitable. Peppard later said, "Buddy carried himself like he was the wise old man of the business, always lecturing people about how things used to be. I didn't need his lectures. I found him pompous and irritating beyond measure." Behind the scenes, their rivalry was fueled by gossip and industry politics. There were rumors that Peppard had been considered for certain projects that Ebsen was also up for, though they ended up going to Ebsen or were shaped in his favor. Even if these rumors weren't totally true, Peppard believed them. He confessed in one heated remark, "Hollywood is a cutthroat business, and people like Ebsen played the game by pretending to be everyone's friend while stabbing you in the back when you weren't looking. I never trusted him." Peppard's sense of betrayal and competitiveness ran deep, and he put much of that bitterness onto Ebsen. The hatred wasn't just professional, it was also personal. Peppard was known for his sophistication, often hanging out in circles of wealth and refinement, and he had a reputation as something of a ladies' man. Ebsen, by contrast, kept up a folksy middle American image that made him popular with audiences, but irritated Peppard, who thought it was fake. In one of his sharpest comments, Peppard said, "What you saw on TV with Buddy wasn't who he really was off camera. He wasn't Jed Clampett. He was a cold, calculating man who wanted to be taken seriously as some kind of elder statesman. That hypocrisy disgusted me." What makes Peppard's hatred of Ebsen stand out is how intensely he described it compared to his opinions of other co-workers. Peppard had crossed swords with directors, had disagreements with producers, and even clashed with co-stars on the A-Team. Like Mr. T, yet despite those tensions, Peppard usually acknowledged their talents or at least showed a grudging respect. With Buddy Ebsen, however, he never softened his words. "I could respect a man I fought with on set because at least it was honest," Peppard remarked. "But Buddy, no. I never respected him. I hated him more than anyone else because everything about him felt phony to me." In the grand scheme of Hollywood feuds, this one may seem unusual, especially since Buddy Ebsen himself rarely spoke publicly about Peppard or returned the hatred in interviews. If anything, Ebsen was known to be more reserved, often letting his long career speak for itself. But for George Peppard, the hostility was very real and stayed with him for years. His honest remarks about Ebsen offer a look not only into a bitter rivalry, but also into Peppard's uncompromising worldview, where authenticity and respect mattered above all else. For Peppard, Buddy Ebsen had failed that test in every possible way, and it made him the one person Peppard admitted to hating more than anyone. On May 8, 1994, George Peppard, the American actor best known for his role as Colonel John Hannibal Smith in the hit 1980s TV series The A-Team, passed away in Los Angeles at the age of 65. His death marked the end of a long struggle with serious health problems, especially lung cancer, a disease that had affected him during his later years. Peppard had been a heavy smoker for much of his life, a habit that played a big part in his declining health and made him especially vulnerable to breathing illnesses. Despite getting treatment for his cancer, his weakened condition left him vulnerable to more complications, and ultimately it was pneumonia that took his life. Pneumonia, often called the old man's friend because it's so common among people with weak immune systems or existing illnesses, became the final battle for Peppard, whose body was already frail from fighting cancer. At the time of his passing, he was in Los Angeles, the city that had been both a professional stage and a personal home throughout his career in Hollywood. Peppard's death deeply saddened his colleagues, friends, and fans, who remembered him not only as a charismatic actor with striking good looks and a commanding screen presence, but also as a man of complex personality, known for his determination, stubbornness, and sometimes combative spirit. The timing of his death was especially sad, as he had been working hard to revive his career in the early 1990s. After the A-Team ended in 1987, Peppard had struggled with being typecast and with personal battles, including a fight against alcoholism, but he had reached a period of renewed focus and sobriety in the last decade of his life. His passing at 65 left many wondering what more he might have done for film and TV had he lived longer. Peppard's death also highlighted the devastating impact of smoking-related illnesses on the Hollywood community. Ash joined a long list of actors of his generation who had died from similar health issues. His fans mourned not only the loss of an actor who had brought to life memorable characters on both the big and small screen, but also a symbol of a bygone era of TV and film. The news of his death spread quickly across the entertainment industry, with obituaries reflecting on his achievements, his classic role opposite Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's in 1961, and his transition from a promising young leading man in films of the 1960s to a household name on TV 2 decades later. Even in death, George Peppard remained a figure of fascination. His complex life story, a mixture of great successes, personal struggles, and a relentless drive to keep working, made him a compelling personality in Hollywood history. While lung cancer and pneumonia ultimately ended his life, his legacy continued through the films and shows that captured his talent and charm, ensuring that his memory would endure with audiences long after May 8, 1994.